Now, given that 2023 has been a very big failure of a year for Disney, and not just because of the board of directors, it also has a lot to do with Bob Iger's bad calls on all of the movie releases like Elemental, The Little Mermaid, as well as Galactic Star Cruiser Hotel closing by this September, and the list goes on. Indiana Jones 5, The Dial of Destiny, and we even have Captain Marvel, which is going to be a very big bomb at the box office by this November, if it doesn't get delayed, by the way, because they're already discussing on delaying that film as well. But when it all concerns Lucasfilm, this is where things are beginning to get quite out of control. Let's discuss. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. And let's get right into the subject, shall we? Now, there's a lot of problems arising out of Bob Iger and what he has been applying to Disney, to everything Star Wars, Marvel, and more, and how it's all coming full circle in a vicious manner, right? We know that Disney is not looking good for 2024 ahead of time. They realize this. They know this. Even though Bob Iger likes to lie on camera and to a lot of correspondents interviewing him, he claims that he's got no concerns about Disney's future, that they are doing just fine, that they are just dealing with a little bit of a dip. Mind you, this is somebody that actually blames the humidity on why there are less attendees at Walt Disney World in Orlando. But moving on, focusing on Lucasfilm here and the up-and-coming firings that are about to happen. As a result of Bob Iger, we're going to be going over every single element of this and exactly why and what it means and what's going on there. So Disney and Bob Iger, of course, they're going through major adjustments on the company. This is also going to apply to Lucasfilm and how deeply it will impact Star Wars movies, TV shows, plus more, as part of Iger's cost containment plan when big developments come into play, and how that has a lot to do with a long list of firings to take place at Lucasfilm. This is going to range anywhere from creators like co-writers, writers, directors, and executive producers to be laid off for starters from various Star Wars projects and swapped with different ones. Even James Mangold, who is writing and directing a Star Wars movie, is already being discussed between the board members of Disney to fire him and let him go from his Dawn of the Jedi film as well, since they don't want his name attached to a major Star Wars movie after, of course, coming out of Indiana Jones 5 and its box office failure. In addition to this, many crew members are geared to also get laid off from the planned Rey movie, as they are looking to make this into a smaller scale Star Wars film to reduce spending. Disney is already demanding writer Stephen Knight to revise his script and to adjust it once the writer's strike comes to a close, which could potentially delay the film even further. Stephen Knight on the Rey film hasn't even finished it yet, and Disney has been discussing on whether or not they even want to move forward with the Rey film. So guys, let me stop here quick, because there's more to this to talk about, but one thing I really want to focus on here is they gotta really scrap this Rey movie altogether. I'm sorry for those of you that want the Rey film, but nobody is literally asking for this, and I think it's a very bad business move on their end to make the first Star Wars film a sequel trilogy character-oriented movie after the sequels back in 2019 came to a close that were so heavily criticized. Does that not prove to you further about how out of touch with reality Bob Iger and the board really are, let alone Kathleen Kennedy? The sequel trilogy is widely hated by fans. Alright, it has its supporters, yes, but for the most part, a lot of people do not like the sequels through and through. Nowhere near close to the original trilogy or the prequels to an extent, and we know also that nobody wants to see a Rey movie. There's really no reason. We know that their plan is to make Rey basically the new Luke Skywalker, creating a new Jedi Order and doing all these different things and whatnot. That's what's bothering a lot of fans, truly, because that's really what Luke should have been doing in specifically his own time. Now, on top of that, too, what's even all the more concerning about Lucasfilm here is that not only are there a lot of firings that are about to get greenlit, but also on top of that, people are going to get replaced. So it's not just a reduction of employees or creators and crew members, but some people are even getting replaced with what Disney believes will be more valuable employees, creators, or crew members to take part in these upcoming projects. Now, on top of this too, this is where things get more complex, is that this is all in part of the upcoming Lucasfilm purge that many at Lucasfilm are furious over. This is also going to deeply impact the story group, as Disney is looking to get different members of that group over at Lucasfilm to actually go through by the second quarter of 24. Disney is in full panic mode and are looking to improve Lucasfilm in whatever way possible to ensure the Star Wars brand and whatever it can deliver. They already dialed back and laid off many jobs for the upcoming marketing teams of Skeleton Crew, a new Star Wars show which is due for release this holiday season, and the last Star Wars show of 2023 before the Acolyte debuts next year. Whether or not this small-scale focus will be permanent or temporary is still up in the air and a big mystery coming from Disney. Iger is set to begin these firings as soon as this October, leading into the second quarter of next year just for starters, to get the ball rolling of transforming Lucasfilm in whatever way possible. That's going to take 2 whole years. Now, I don't know why it takes so long, but we have heard that it does take that long in order to not interrupt a lot of the up-and-coming Star Wars projects. At no surprise, the writer of the Lando series was also swapped out. We learned about this just today. There's been a lot of things going on. Now Donald Glover himself, the guy who plays Lando, is writing that show. And it really just goes to show you that Lucasfilm has this ongoing tendency of losing writers. Either they walk off, or they get fired, they get replaced, whatever it may be, from whatever kind of cause, creative differences or whatever. But in this case, apart from the whole Lando thing, this really is going to show you that Lucasfilm is struggling, and they're struggling big time. A lot of it has to do with the failure of Mando Season 3, as well as what happened with Boba Fett and Kenobi. Disney Plus Star Wars doesn't really have a good track record yet. And the only way to truly course correct it is it's going to take years. And yes, I mean years of consistent, successful Star Wars TV shows. If Ahsoka ends up being a huge hit, and let's just say it will be, at the, best possibility, if it does, they could very well boost that momentum a little bit, but it's not going to be enough to course correct. You have to have ongoing successes after Ahsoka. And with Acolyte coming back in 2024 as another controversial show, that's going to create more problems again. I think that's going to really destroy any kind of momentum that Ahsoka may even create. And that's why I feel it's just going to be this up and down roller coaster. So Disney really needs to learn. They really need to understand exactly where the fans are coming from, what they want to see on the big screen, what they want to see at home on Disney Plus, stuff like that. But let's be honest here. Star Wars has really been not doing well for a while now, and they really need to shape up. They need to bring on proper writers, directors, creators, whatever have you, to set the record straight. So guys, I would really love to hear your take on this below in the comments. What do you think about the whole Lucasfilm scenario? And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.
From night to morning.